everyone, thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Doobert webinar. So today we're going to be looking at our coalitions and how they really work in CCM. So the goal of the coalitions, just to give you guys a little bit of background knowledge, is to be able to transfer cases to other organizations that you work with. So the idea of these is that organizations who use Doobert and they're in a similar area, they work together, things like that, they can transfer cases between each organization. So if you're new to our webinars, typically how they work is we'll go through a quick slideshow and then we'll go into the system and we'll demo the processes that we talked about within our slides. And then at the end, we'll have just a brief Q&A going through some of our FAQs or anything we're commonly asked on a demo, things like that, just to give you guys some extra insights. So other than that, let's get started. So for an overview of our coalitions, like I said, the idea of them is to transfer the entire case, and where we would do this is from within the actual case that we're referring to. So that's really efficient when you have the case in front of you and you just want to transfer it directly from the case. So it's super easy to do, and it's great for any local partnerships. So if you work with any other organizations within your area, it is a really great resource if, for example, your organization gets a request that you might not be equipped for or don't have the resources for. You can send it over to one of your coalition members who might have the resources to help. So that's a really great resource. And we also have the option to include animal profiles within the case when we transfer it. So we can go through our process of transferring the case, and then we can decide whether we want to send the animal profile with the case as well. So if you have an animal profile attached to the case and you want all of that information to go over to the transfer organization, you can definitely do that. So I'll show you guys a little bit about what that looks like once we get into the system. But looking at transferring cases, the cases are used to manage your organization's outreach program requests. So for example, your foster volunteers or your spay and neuter inquiries, crisis boarding, anything like that. So any type of outreach program that your organization might have, you can customize your case to fit that type of program. And when we go to transfer a case and its contents to a coalition member, we typically want to do that if, for example, we are not equipped to handle it, or if someone else might be a better fit, whether they're in a different area, they're a little bit closer to anyone who's applying, or they just have extra resources that our organization might not have. So any reason at all that you want to transfer a case, you can do that. And these are really great for any spay-neuter partnerships that your organization might have. So if you are like a small rescue and you'd like to refer any of your spay and neuters over to a spay and neuter organization, you can definitely do that. So that's a really common use for our coalitions as well. And just some things to know about our coalition is that once the case is transferred, the coalition member can choose that it. So just some quick things to know about our coalitions is that once the case is transferred to a coalition member, you can choose whether the case will remain open in your account or if it should be closed or archived or anything like that. So you'll have that option when you're going to transfer that case. So we can also choose whether the animal profile should be copied into the receiving organization's case. Like I said, we'll have like a little box that will check whether we want that animal profile to go, or if there's multiple can go, anything like that. And then you can also choose which pieces of information within the case that you would like to transfer as well. So if there's some things that really only apply to your organization, you can choose to take those out or send them along to the new organization who's going to be taking this case. So that is all I have for our quick little slideshow. So now we're going to jump into the system and walk through the transfer case process. Okay, so I'm logged in as an organization right now, and I am demoing in our beta account, just so you guys know. This is kind of like a sandbox for testing, demoing, things like that. So some things might look a little bit off, but other than that, to start transferring our case, we're going to head over to our companion case management module right here. So now I'm taken to our all cases page, and this is where we'll be able to view all of the cases that we have within our organization, and then we also have a ton of search filters up here as well. But I'm going to search for a case that's assigned to me to start. So I'm going to click on my name right here, and then I'm going to click on search. So I'm going to click on one of my cases that's assigned to me, and I'll start showing you guys how we can transfer these. So I'm going to click on this rehoming case right here. And as you can see, this case has a ton of information in it, so this is going to be really great to transfer because it makes it a little bit easier on the other organization because we've done all of the data entry for them. But we also have our animal profile in here as well, so we'll be able to transfer that too. And then everything else in here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this transfer case right here once our case is complete, and then there's nothing else that we think we're missing on our organization's end. So we're going to click on transfer case. And right here is where we'll be able to select our coalition. So you can be a part of multiple coalitions if you would like to be. So we can choose our coalition right here. So like I said, this is our test account. So that's why we have a test coalition in here. So I am just going to click on the CCM test coalition. So you can, the reason for multiple coalitions is that if you work with a couple different organizations or you have a couple different initiatives, or for example, you have a spay and neuter coalition or a an adoption coalition, things like that. So you have a couple different options in terms of how you want to set them up or categorize them if you're a part of many of them. But I am just going to go ahead and click on our CCM test coalition, and it is going to load in right here. And then here's where I'm going to choose the organization that is a member of our coalition. So this is the basically idea that you could have multiple organizations a part of one coalition. So they can be as big or as small as you would like, but we have a ton of options in here, so we can just go ahead and click one that we want to transfer this case to. So I'm going to click on Rescue Org 1 right here, and then here is where we can decide whether we want to include that animal profile when we transfer it or we don't. So I am going to select this, and then if we had multiple animal profiles within this case, there would be multiples right here. So we'd have the option to only send some, send all, or only send one out of two, things like that. So you guys get the idea. And then we can also edit any of our outcomes right here if we would like to. So we can put in that it was, for example, moved to rescue shelter. And then here is where we'll decide whether we want to keep our existing case open or we want to close and archive it within our account. So once we transfer that case out, basically what we're deciding is what is going to happen with this case now within our account. So if it's no longer something that is of interest to our organization, we can close and archive it. Or if it's something that we want to keep just in case for some reason it comes back to us, we can keep it open. Or if we want to just keep a record of that we had an interaction with this person, we keep it open. So a lot of different options in terms of what you want to do here. But for our purposes, I will keep it open. And then down here, we have the option to choose what information we want to transfer to the other organization regarding this case. So we have our check or uncheck all button right here, but we can go ahead and check these boxes. And then we also have a little agreement right here to our privacy policy. So I'm going to click that. And then I'll add our case activity history so they can also see the activity log from the case, animal profile info and pictures, and case and client tags and internal notes as well. So if we want to share everything that's in the case, we would click all of these. So once all of this looks good, right here we say transferring will close your case. A new case will be opened within their organization, and then the two cases will now be linked. Just so you guys get a little bit of an idea of how it all works. But all this looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and click transfer. So that case has now been transferred to our coalition member, and that's really it in terms of how we would go about transferring a case. So just a little bit of background for you guys on our coalition. So basically what happens if you want to create a coalition, join a coalition, anything like that, just reach out to us at help@Doobert.com and we will set it up for you. And we'll ask you for a little bit of information about the organizations that you'd like to have in your coalition, or if you're joining an existing coalition, anything like that. So just reach out to us at help@Doobert.com and we will guide you through all of the steps, whether you're joining a coalition, starting a coalition, anything like that. So now we're going to jump into our quick Q&A. Okay, so our first question is, how quickly can I get a coalition set up? So great question, and this is very quickly. So this is something that we can do for you very, very quickly. There's typically not much of a wait time at all to get a coalition set up, as long as you know who you would like to include, or you know exactly what coalition you'd like to join with the approval of the organization. So super, super quick process and very little wait time involved. And then our next question is, what are a couple ways that I can use a coalition within my organization? So that's a really great question. So the way that I can typically describe this for just a couple ideas is, for example, you have a dog who is up for adoption. He's in a foster home, and an organization that is also in your coalition has a home for him or a potentially good fit. You can go ahead and transfer that case with the animal profile included over to the organization that has a connection for a potential adopter, and they will receive all of the pet's information. And then I mentioned the spay and neuter example. If, for example, you don't offer spay and neuter, but you have a partner organization who does, then you can easily transfer those cases with the owner's information and the animal's information over to that spay and neuter organization. So that's another really easy way to use the coalitions. Or if you have, for example, a crisis boarding program and you have a couple other crisis boarding programs that are within your local area, and if, for example, you are fully booked, you don't have any available fosters, you can always transfer this over to a coalition member who might have an available foster for the animal. So that's a couple different ideas of how you can use the coalitions to work as a team and get all of the animals the help that they need. So that is all I have for today's webinar. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at help@Doobert.com. Or if you would like to start a coalition, join one, reach out to us as well. So thanks guys for watching.